We're back, PCP Radio. I am your host, Nina Nicole, with my host, Don Swan.
It's Tweezy.
And of course, we are talking issue 2 and issue 3 today. Responsible Ohio, Legalize Ohio. And we have one of the representatives online. Hello?
Hi, yes. Thanks for having me. This is Britt Ashley.
Hey, Brad. Go ahead and let everybody know exactly what it is that you do and explain the whole process for those who don't know.
Okay, yeah, sure. When you say process, you mean like the ballot and get the ballot and process and how to get on the ballot? Okay,
yeah,
sure. Well, I'm Britt Ashley, and I'm an attorney, property attorney. I don't work for Responsible Ohio, but I'm a volunteer and help admin one of the Facebook sites for them. So if you all are out and on the Facebook universe and get on, support issue 3, the marijuana legalization amendment, and join our group for discussions. As far as the ballot process goes, in Ohio you have to have a certain number of signatures, and then once you have that first initial number, it's around 1,000, but it varies depending on the last governor election, and then the Attorney General looks to see if the summary you have corresponds and is a fair representation to the amendment language. And if once he certifies that, then he gives the stamp of approval to go out and get a certain percentage of signatures to be on the election ballot. And typically, it's not an easy thing to do. The validity rate's usually about 50%, so you try to get usually half of that. And in this situation, based on the last governor election, we had to get at least 306,000 signatures that were valid. So that's why Responsible Ohio submitted twice that number just to be safe. And
right.
If you're following the news, they didn't make it, but they were allowed 10 days, as any initiative would be, to remedy that, and fortunately they were able, and so now it's on the ballot. Then the ballot board, which they recently did, makes its own summary of the language, and there was some blatant contradictions that Responsible Ohio felt was on there, so they took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court had them change those points, and but they were able to keep the title that it grants a monopoly. So that's where we're at today.
Okay. So can you explain to everybody, because I know a lot of people that are online listening and that will be listening to the show after it airs are pro-marijuana. So can you please explain to everybody the difference between the issues that are up for ballot?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, issue 1, I don't know as much about, but it has to do with redistricting the different electorates and, based on the parties and population. Issue 2 is a reaction to issue 3. Issue 3 is the marijuana legalization amendment for Ohio that is trying to legalize up to 1 ounce or less for anyone that's 21 or older in Ohio for personal use, and
right.
as well as where each person who's 21 or older can home grow up to 4 plants and have 8 ounces with a license or a register or a permit. But
okay.
And also for medical marijuana in the amounts that are certified by your physician. That's issue 3. Issue 2 was a reaction to that, and don't ask me why that is issue 2 and the legalization is issue 3. I don't know how those numbers were chosen. But issue 2 is a reaction by the legislature to try to prevent this amendment, and not only this amendment or this initiative, I'll call it, because it's not technically an amendment yet, it's a proposed amendment, but it's trying to prevent this one as well as others that fall into 7 different categories. And
okay.
then you list those categories as a monopoly, an oligopoly, a cartel, anything that specifies or determines a tax rate or confers a commercial interest, commercial right, commercial license to any person, or non-public entity. So you have these 7 different categories that it says, okay, if any amendment in the future falls within one of these categories, all of these categories are going to be put on the ballot with that initiative, and the public has to vote to waive all of that, and then they can vote on the initiative. So that's what's going on there.
So basically, issue 3 is pro-marijuana, and issue 2 are for the people who don't want it legalized, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, I've had some people that I've been discussing this with, and we're going to go to a quick break in a second, but we definitely want to have you stay online because we got a lot of people with questions. But I have been hearing from other people about the monopoly issue as far as once the marijuana is legalized with the issue 3. So I want you to touch on that for a second as far as the particular places that are going to be set up to grow marijuana and the distributors. So can you touch on that briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. You want me to do it now?
Yeah, we can do it now, then we'll elaborate on it after the break.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, there's a lot of talk that, monopoly has different definitions depending on who you ask. If you pick up the Oxford Dictionary, it'll say anything that provides exclusive rights is a monopoly. You ask someone else, and they'll tell you that a patent isn't a monopoly. That a monopoly is something that has one person or one business, not 10 different businesses the way this one has starting out.
That's my take on the monopoly. That's my definition of it, where someone has a complete control of, either that brand or that company. So that's what I think a lot of people who do want marijuana legalized in Ohio, that's the issue that they're having with voting for issue 3.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but it's not a monopoly technically because there are 10 different locations that have 10 different businesses that are filed on file with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and each of those businesses have different investors in each of those property sites. And so what we're trying to do is start a market instead of just grant authority to the state in order for them to decide how many or when they want to start a market. We've had states like Hawaii that have been legal for 15 years and just last month got their first dispensary license. So trusting authority alone in lawmakers doesn't guarantee anything. All it does is give authority to the prohibitionists that have been trying to keep it legal, that are career politicians, that have been paid by pharmacies and whatnot to keep the herb off the market. And so we're trying to start a market, and also we grant authority to the state. After 4 years, the state can say, we're going to grant another license for a commercial grow business.
That was my next question.
Yeah, and they can do that once every year because they have to base it on demand metrics.
Right. So no one else can legally sell weed in Ohio for 4 years after you guys start the movement, if it is technically legalized, correct?
That's right. Or unless federal prohibition goes down, and then we'll be forced to have to allow out-of-state businesses. But not anyone else in Ohio until after 4 years, and then the governor or state could issue another one. And then each year after that, they can issue another one.
Well, I definitely want you to, like I said, stay online. We're going to get back to that topic in a second once we go to this quick song break. And I also want to touch on how the marijuana is actually grown. We got some callers online, so we're going to go to a quick break and then come right back to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
All right.
Nigga, it's the niggas night out tonight. Keep feeling that reefer, sending me straight to heaven. Keep feeling that reefer, sending me straight to heaven. Keep feeling that reefer, sending me straight to heaven. Keep feeling that reefer, sending me straight to heaven. Buddha lover, gotta learn to smile.